8 months ago at Daytona, the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge set out to decide bragging rights in the toughest crucible of all, racing. Today in the red clay hills of North Georgia, that battle comes to an end with a pair of championships on the line. In Grand Sport, Stevenson Camaro drivers Andrew Davis and Robin Liddell have their first title within their grasp, and they would like nothing better than to close the deal with a win for Chevrolet. In Street Tuner, the champion is likely to be a Mazda driver. But which one? At the last race, teammates Chad McCumbee and Stephen McAleer bumped rival Andrew Carbonell out of the top spot by a single point. That makes the race about to unfold a true winner-take-all affair on the racing roller coaster of Road Atlanta. If proof were needed that autumn is here or that Mother Nature has a twisted sense of humor, look no further than the final round of the 2015 Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge on Petit Le Mans weekend at gray and drizzly Road Atlanta. Hi everybody, I'm Bob Varsha along with Calvin Fish and Justin Bell. I'm not quite sure how to describe our racetrack. It's either damp but drying or dry but dampening, but either way, Calvin, it's going to make nailing down a championship in both the Grand Sport and Street Tuner divisions a little more tricky.
It really is going to be a difficult day for everyone, and when you're on the verge of your first championship, as the Stevenson team is here today, they finished runner-up 3 times. Boy, oh boy, the last thing you need is a curveball like we have here today with this racetrack. But what they need to do is basically get to the minimum drive time. For their starting driver, Andrew Davis, he has to tread very carefully through these opening laps, get to that 45-minute mark, the championship is theirs. If he should falter, if the car should falter, it would open up the door for the Run Bum team. They would then need a podium run. But in ST, Justin, it is a very different story.
It is. Every lap of every race this season, the Street Tuner guys have literally been separated at the top of the field by half a car length. And going into their final race, it's the same story. They lie on the grid the way they sit in the championship. The top 3 drivers literally have to win the race today to win the title. But the track, it's not going to cooperate that much. Amazing overtaking opportunities at Road Atlanta, as you know, but it's very wet on track and extremely treacherous offline on the grass. So let's see if the red Georgia clay claims its victim before the title is clinched.
Well, as always, Brian Till and Jamie Howe will be patrolling the pit lane. Here's Brian.
Well, thanks, Bob. You know, you talk about Street Tuner, the championship leaders, Chad McCumbee, Stephen McAleer. They start on pole, qualifying washed out, but they think they have a very good Mazda in these wet conditions. And both McCumbee and McAleer, very good drivers in the rain. And McCumbee feels like when he starts this race, if he can lead to that first pit stop, he's got big faith in Stephen McAleer to bring home the victory. If they win this race, they will definitely win this championship. Jamie?
Well, Brian, you're absolutely right. However, the last time these 2 cars, the 26 and the 5, lined up in this order was just 3 races ago at Road America. And when the checkered flag fell there, it was Liam Dwyer and Andrew Carbonell who finished ahead of the number 5 machine. If they can do the same thing today, then Andrew Carbonell could win the driver's title and Freedom Autosport could win the team championship. There are certain tiebreaker scenarios we're going to have to go through as this race unfolds. But however, the bottom line here is we have 4 drivers from the same exact manufacturer on the same racetrack in the same conditions today, and it's going to be exciting to watch, guys.
No question about it. Thank you, Jamie. Road Atlanta celebrates its 45th birthday this year. Tell us about it, JB.
Well, it's an epic track, isn't it? 2.54 miles long, demanding elevation changes, high-speed S's. It's got a long back straight with some amazing overtaking areas, but don't go off. That wet red clay will swallow you up, and I think we're in for perhaps quite a lot of yellows during this race because this track is a true test, Bob.
No question about that. Now, monsoon-like rains washed out qualifying yesterday. Bright side of that is all of the contenders will be starting right up front in class. There's our Continental Tire starting grid across the top of your screen. Blue background for the Grand Sport cars, orange for the ST. 4 onboard cameras, 3 GS cars, and 1 ST class Mazda in the hands of wounded warrior Liam Dwyer. Back in action after a recent hiatus. Upper left, Andrew Davis racing in front of his home fans. It doesn't get much better than that, I guess, Calvin, when you're about to clinch your first title.
No, he said, I have to be so careful, but he said, I've got a lot of fans here. I've got my family here this weekend. I'd love to win. He starts from the point, but this first 45 minutes, he just has to be careful. Cannot afford to throw it away.
And here's the key. You saw the weather conditions right now. There is very heavy rain not far away. The question is, when will it arrive and how hard will it fall? But nevertheless, off the track comes the safety car, and Andrew Davis leads Hugh Plum to the green flag We are green and racing at Road Atlanta, and we're seeing contact already.
Yeah, I think that was Matt Bell and one of the Nissans. They're getting together as they came through that final turn, and it was a kind of not a neat start there, Justin.
No, but I think the starter and the clerk of the course gave them a little grace on that, because just get through the front straight and the first turn without incident, and so they allowed them to space out a little bit coming down the hill.
Green.
As you can see, heavy rain on the top of the hill there.
Oh, there's a spinner right at the front of the pack.
Yikes.
31 cars around. It's Ethan Lowe, I believe.
This is the separate start for the Street Tuner division, a larger class than Grand Sport.
Tell you what,
he got a tap too.
Yeah, not many people
up there.
Yeah, Calvin, not many people could get away with a start coming down the hill at Road Atlanta and not get hit by anyone else. That was very fortunate for him and the rest of the field.
I guess those starts kind of mirror the conditions we've been seeing all week here at Road Atlanta. About 45 miles north of the city of Atlanta. Some cars in the pit lane already for a tire change. Meanwhile, up through the S's, through turn 5 and over the rise comes Chad McCumbee. There's a guy.
Dwyer's having a nice start here too, up into the second spot from his front row starting position, and these two have spread the rest of the field here on this opening lap. And getting back to Andrew Davis' start in the GS class, he didn't want to have any trouble down in turn 1. He literally took off, and that was the main thing, is tick the boxes here today, get through that first turn cleanly and try and separate yourself from the rest of the field.
Number 158, Jade Buford at the controls of that GT350. Going around to complete lap 1. Here's another look at the ST class start.
He just loses it by himself there. 5th car in line there, just try to get on the power and just loses the rear end, loops it around. Everyone relatively slow at this stage of the game, so not too much drama there to avoid him.
Everybody being very careful, and with good reason, because the conditions are changing by the minute. These guys had their last practice quite some time ago, so they're still feeling out the racetrack.
And I think some of these guys are out on the dry weather tires, essentially a slick tire versus rain tire, so that may be the separation that we're seeing right now between the various runners in the two classes.
Calvin, you're exactly right. There was a lot of confusion before the start. Cars down on the grid, some cars on slicks, some on rains. We saw the 15 Multimatic just in changing to rain tires. The 158 you were talking about, Jade Buford, he had the rain tires on at the start, as does the number 6 Camaro up front. That allowed them to grip, and they're beginning to pull away.
18 car stopped. Is that in the S's?
Yeah, you never want to see anyone stop
On the back straight, yeah, just off turn 7.
See the leaders go through, and we're gone full course yellow.
Water in the electrics or something like that, because that is a strange place to stop.
This is going to hurt the guys who felt that the track was too wet for slick tires, because if it stops raining, I don't see a lot of precipitation coming out right now. So this will allow the guys who are on basically the dry weather tires, like I believe the Rum Bum team certainly is, because they've dropped back in the order. That will allow them to close the gap. The track could dry a little bit, and it could come to them.
I think I see a little stream of fluid the right-hand side there. Well, one way or another, we're under our first full course caution of the event. A tip of the hat very early on to the hardy fans at Road Atlanta. We'll be back. Welcome back to Cool and Drizzly Road Atlanta. Final round of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Continental Tire is the official tire of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, America's premier motorsport series for production-based race cars. Off comes the safety car, and championship leader Andrew Davis will lead Jade Buford and Matt Bell to the green.
Tell you what, Buford got a nice run there through turn 12. Davis is immediately defending that inside line. He won't force the issue too much, I don't believe. Buford thinks better of it, tucks back in. Matt Bell sits in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, he had a good run going in there, but that's very high speed, and we're watching them literally, our eyes on track as they go through that turn 1. This whole sequence through here, can you see the shinier, deeper water there? There's a slightly drier line, is a bit optimistic, but there's definitely a clearer path through the middle of that. We heard from Brian down in the pit saying that it actually is a lighter sort of hazy rain right now. But remember, Andrew has the benefit of clear visibility in front of him. Jade actually is so close up behind him that he's almost benefiting from that as well. He's not getting hit quite so much by the spray. But I reckon if Buford is able to make a move, get the clean air, Andrew will not defend too hard. I think you're right, Cal.
And I think once you see this track potentially dry out a little bit, then you'll see that rain line maybe come into play where you kind of run the rim shot where the aggregate is a little bit coarser, gives you a bit more grip.
There's the number 8 of Anthony Mantello. Why is the front end of that Camaro all black? Well, those are replacement parts. In yesterday's first practice, that car went off in a big way, crushed the front of the machine. If you go to, I believe, sportscar365.com, you could see video of the team trying to straighten the frame at the front end of the car by hooking a pickup truck up to it, turning it 90 degrees from the direction of travel, as it were, and then trying to yank the frame straight. Meanwhile, another charge by Jade Bruford, trying to wrest first place away from Andrew Davis.
And he's got to run. He's got the acceleration. He's got the traction. I think Andrew's going to have to let him go. So he wanted that clear visibility. He wanted to stay at the front. But again, championship scenario, he has to get to that 45-minute mark to clinch the championship here today for Stevenson.
Yeah, Buford really came up strong, didn't he, from that opening lap, and the yellow didn't change the pace that he had. Definitely for Matt behind, obviously he's not going to challenge in quite the same way in any shape or form. But as they go through these S's here, for the first time, for Jade actually to pull out is probably what Andrew doesn't mind him doing, gives him back the clean visibility until they catch the back of the ST class.
And it emphasizes the fact that there are guys in this race who simply want to win the race. They're not in championship contention, and winning here at Road Atlanta is in fact a big deal. Picking up the street tuner class lead, there's Chad McCumbee, who kind of cut his racing teeth in stock cars, and he's been known to say, well, when it rains in stock cars, we all just go fall asleep somewhere and wait for it to stop. Not in road racing.
Paul Halton has jumped up to the second spot. Liam Dwyer continues to run in the third position. Lee Summers in, Brian.
Brad Jager behind the wheel of the 14. This car, this team running so well, so fast this year, but just coming up short of the victory. Remember VIR where they led and then ran out of fuel late in the going. Well, they gambled again today. Started on slick tires, in for the treaded Continental rain tire right now. Brad Jager will be back out momentarily in the sister car, the 41, in now right behind.
Back to my point about winning the race. You don't want to end the season being as close to the top step of the podium as these guys from Doran Racing have been and not seal the deal.
Yeah, I saw Kevin yesterday and I said, what do you have to do, mate, to get to the top step? He said, I don't know, we keep getting close, maybe it's not going to happen. I said, well, you keep doing what you're doing, one day has got to come your way. They've been so close, shown so much speed. The car's really good in the dry on the long green flag runs, but looking at the wet tire times versus dry tires, about a 7 or 8 second delta, so that's the amount of time that Brad Jager was losing by being on those slick Continental tires in the early laps.
Here's Hugh Plum in the Rum Bum Porsche 911.
See he again looking very sort of like being very careful. They're going through that,
yeah,
being very careful through that final corner, JB. He's on the slicks.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much to get it wrong on the slicks, and for them right now the consequences of that are too high. You know, they want every point they can have. So here they go as they working his way through these S's. You can see that shiny water again. It's very, very treacherous for him, and you can see he literally is feeling his way. You know what it's like as Calvin as a driver, he will be too tight. His shoulders and hands and arms, he will literally be exhausted. Look, he twitched there.
Well, you can't afford to load the car. If you try and load the car, it's going to go on you. So you just got to be very smooth, very slow with your inputs, both with your hands and your feet when you're driving. On there we see.
Oh. Wow. Is that Paul Holton?
Oh, he doesn't look at, even when he comes on track, that clay keeps his wheels sliding across the ground. The worst thing is the clay that's on the track there as you come onto the front straight. That's terrible.
I think that's the other car is the 74 of Jim McGuire. Yeah. Halton continues to run in the second spot.
Sorry, Bob, that's just put a lot of rubbish onto that racing surface right where the cars track out.
And you talk about loading up the car, Calvin. Down there through turn 12, it's fast and it's sweeping, and you do that if you're going to have any kind of lap time.
Take another look here. Look in the background. Comes through. He's already got it sideways, mid-corner, tries to control the slide, lets off the gas pedal. That then takes him where his steering input is aiming, and that was off in the grass.
Yeah, maybe there'll be something extra in his pay envelope from Continental for taking out the other tire company's signage.
Exactly. Yeah, he paid for that ticket a while up in the corner, didn't he? And lived the ride all the way through. Well done, everyone else missing him.
There's the 25 from Freedom, Jamie.
It's the sister car to the championship, number 26. That was a quick pit stop just to put on the wet Continental tire selection. The 26 is still out there on slicks.
In fairness to these teams who had to make this tire decision as the start of this race took place under wetter conditions. This morning, the Tudor Series, which is also running this weekend, did their warm-up, and a dry line was out there. So there was good reason to think maybe we can get away with slick tires.
Well, there's two things going on here. We've had so much rain here in Atlanta, as you know, as we're both with us live, Bob, this week. And if we get more rain, the runoff area is saturated, so it literally goes to the racetrack. However, this racetrack will dry out pretty quickly as well. So I think that's what forced the hand of some of these guys deciding to start on slicks.
More pit action, Jamie.
Yes, it's the number 46 Fall Line Motorsports. Ashley Freiberg will stay behind the wheel of the car. They did top her off with fuel, but they're making that same call. Go ahead and get the slick Continentals off, put on these reins. I talked to Ashley before the start of the race. She said she actually really enjoys racing in these conditions. She said her BMW is pretty stable on a wet racetrack.
Well, she and everybody else in this race have that, a wet racetrack. Let's take a look at the weather radar to get some idea of what's going on. You can see where we are at Road Atlanta. That's a pretty sizable storm cell headed our way.
And I'm sure some of the teams are looking at that as well. So even though it's maybe not the ideal condition for the slick tires, when they see that rain coming as well, I think that's why they're jumping into pit lane right now.
Up front, Jade Buford of the Multimatic Ford GT350 RC has the lead. On board with our championship leaders in GS. We'll be back. Back at Road Atlanta, 1 hour, 53 minutes and change remaining in this final event of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge season. We are under our second full course caution. Let's get you up to speed, beginning with some more contact and roundy rounds.
Yeah, it looked like the 65 car got into the back of the 87, just turned in mild damage there as he hits the tire fence.
And not long after that, Carlos Contreras in a Rebel Rock Porsche came to a stop on the uphill between turns 10 and 11. Came in, flipped the master switch, and quickly the engine fired. He was back on his way. That safety car is off. Jade Buford.
Buford leads them back to the green flag here. The run bump machine has made that pit stop. They're in fact one lap down. Decided to keep Andrew Davis out there and pitted the 9 car for Stevenson. And there you see, I think there's Maxwell there down to the inside. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. He actually got a penalty for pitting at the green flag here to switch tires. You've got to do one lap. You can't come in before you pass the stripe. So they had to stop and go plus 60. It's really hurt their day, but they're coming back.
Yeah, as you can see, people running over the inside of the curbs, bringing that red clay onto the surface. Doesn't need to get any slicker right now, but I tell you what, very impressed with Jay Buford in that Mustang. He's really exploited the chassis dynamics of that car in the wet, which is very similar to the Stevenson cars. They've got a lot more roll. They basically have a lot more weight transfer. Oh, the 93 goes round as he goes through the uphill at turn 1 there. That was, you may have, let's see. Oh, look, front wheel drive, not ideal as an off-road
Car's just
vehicle.
taking the slope. Forget where you point the wheels. Exactly. It's just going to go downhill, basically.
That's Chad Gilsinger.
Well, they're not having the normal weekend they have, are they? Woo.
His teammate Eversley won in ST here last year, so another home race. Local boy.
But as I was saying, different dynamics of a car in the wet are exaggerated. If your car sometimes rolls a bit too much in the dry, in the wet, you may find it just digs in. Here's a replay of that. He's on the outside. Look, he gets out wide, hits the curb.
Realize he's going to get on that curb, and the problem with the curb is not only is the bump, it's also painted, so there's zero grip there.
As you can see, it's quite a tall curb. Gilsinger's back on his way. Let's go to Jamie.
Andrew Carbonell's getting ready to get his helmet on, get behind the wheel of the car. Andrew, final thoughts before you go in and try to earn this championship.
First off, I have to tell Liam he's doing an incredible job. Liam, when you see this awesome job out there, we took the gamble. We went with wet tires. A couple guys went with slick tires. The wet was the right call. CJ's also on wet, so it's a battle out there. We're really fighting hard, but Liam is holding his own. He's sitting in 3rd place right now, doing a phenomenal job. I'll probably jump in here soon and really chase down this championship. And I really want to thank all the U.S. service members and veterans who have protected our freedom for over 200 years. That's why we're here. This is what freedom is about, and I hope to really give all these guys a championship today.
Just to poke a little fun at him, guys, before he gets in the car. Should he win this championship, he'll be on the podium, pan down here in a Tom Long fire suit. If you just There we go. His zipper broke, guys. Brian?
Well, you talk about Andrew Carbonell earning the championship. Stephen McAleer wants to earn it too. You're sitting here watching on the monitor, watching the broadcast. Not happy with these yellows, are you?
No, we're looking for some pretty good green flag runs. The other cars are catching up now. They're coming in and changing to wet tires, and CJ Wilson Racing gave us the wet tires out the box, which got us the lead. And it's looking like, as we expected, we're going to have a good fight at the end here. We seem to have a good car. Chad likes it. And as I said before, hopefully we can bring a championship back from Mod Space today.
He said earlier when we were talking, guys, we're going to have to race for this one. We're going to have to earn it. That's exactly what they're going to have to do. Up?
Yeah, they're absolutely right.
Scotty's summer day out there, so he should be right at home.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But also, it's been a good year for Redheads winning championships. So there is an odd chance. Johnny O'Connell was here yesterday walking around.
Yeah.
Obviously clinched his World Challenge title, and
Liddell on the verge of
Liddell
one
on the
today.
verge.
If
So
the six car
maybe-
can bring it home.
Good point.
maybe hundreds of years of ridicule are coming right for these boys.
Not a lot of red here among those boys you just mentioned,
Yes.
but yes, red.
Yeah, okay. I'm not saying volume. I'm saying. Okay, I've gone off track. Anyway, look at
Yes.
these lovely cars going around this pretty track.
Yeah, rein him back in, Bob, quickly.
Yeah.
I want to work with him next year.
You're sitting closer to him than I am.
Oh, you can
Down
see
through
it's-
turns 10A and B, tippy towing.
Halton's done a great job here, second in class.
Yeah.
Compass 360 really getting to grips with this Audi platform now.
Yeah, probably a bit different for him to be driving all-wheel drive round this track. It's actually, I know from personal experience, I drove one of these in a World Challenge a few years ago, and boy, they're electric in the electrifying, let's put it, in today's powertrain option.
In the sense of exciting.
Really, just the fact that all-wheel drive really allows you to
made
get the
you
foot
look good.
down. Yeah, it made me look good. Went from 9th on the grid to take the lead at Lime Rock, if you remember, until electrics failed as I was leading coming down the
Strangely,
hill.
I can't quite
You don't remember
recall
that?
now.
It's amazing. I can tell you more if you want. Oh, look, but front-wheel drive in the wet, making your way through Road Atlanta isn't probably a bad option, Calvin, because you can really
Oh,
feel
yeah.
a front-wheel drive car. You can actually be a little more aggressive with throttle application and turning and throwing the car in. Rear-wheel drive, obviously, it's the classic. It's
More
once
problems
again.
for Carlos Contreras in the 08. He's in the pit lane.
Well, he's about to be. Let's hope he can make the top of the hill.
Yeah, he's in there, I think.
Yeah, he's in.
There may be a penalty. Something went amiss during that pit stop to fix the problem, so serving a penalty right now. But yeah, you're right, the front wheel drive, the weight of the engine over those driving wheels, it just gives you a tremendous advantage in terms of traction coming off the corners. And in the ST class, you got the lightweight Mazda's obviously performing extremely well here as it continues to lead. You got the longer wheelbase, little BMW platform. So yeah, there's pros and cons to all of the different marks out here in the class.
Well, by that same reasoning, that rum-bum Porsche, the yellow 911 up ahead of Andrew Davis, has the engine over the rear driving wheels. So you think that car would be at a little bit of an advantage, even in these conditions.
Yeah, Porsche's always good at getting the power down. That's one of the advantages they do have. And Andrew, I think, is just sitting tight. He's got 2 more minutes to go, and this championship will be theirs. And as we said in the Open, 3 times a runner-up in this championship. There's a tremendous organization led by Mike Johnson and Johnny Stevenson. The car owner is a superb supporter of sports car racing, so it'll be great to see him finally get that first crown. Rob Nadell, it'll be his first North American driver's title as well. He won over in Europe, of course, but it's a big day for this group.
So what do you do then once you clinch the championship while the race is going on?
The
You
win.
Ease up or hunker down?
You go for the win.
There you go. Look at those rooster tails. It's still so wet out there on the backstretch. Fastest part of the racetrack. Heavy braking coming up here.
Good thing is it doesn't, and we'll have to get an update from our little soggy gnomes in the pit lane. I mean, sorry, Brian and Jamie, but the fact is that it's very hard for us to tell here whether or not the rain is increasing or diminishing. The track certainly looks constant right now. The rooster tails off the back there of Andrew Davis' car, it hasn't changed in the last 10 laps.
Yeah, Buford's last time was a 142.9. His best lap of the day is a 142 flat, so it was right in the same second bracket there. So, as you say, JB, and that's great. I mean, I expected more of a variance in terms of these track conditions, but it's pretty much stayed constant throughout this first hour of the race.
Board with Brad Jager, the Doran Racing Nissan 370Z. They made a pit stop. Currently running 12th in class.
Great season, 5 podiums on the year, and came so close, particularly on a couple of occasions. So they're looking to go one better. I think this team will come back next year even stronger with the driver lineups that they've employed this year, working the gamers through the other car with the Nissan Academy program.
You might be wondering, sitting at home, why the driver is not flicking on the windshield wipers, and that is because in a race car, you try and avoid that until the last moment. A lot of, believe it or not, even in these conditions, a lot of oil, a lot of dirt is thrown up, a lot of grease, and it's better, if you can, to look through the, I mean, as we watch, Andrew Davis got it going, but if you turn it on in the middle of a stint, often you just end up with a smeary, nasty mess on your windshield. So if you're not running the whole time, generally you end up keeping them off as best you can.
There's a measure of Andrew Davis's conservative approach to the race at this point. I just took a glance at the weather radar, and that big, heavy storm cell is not far away. We'll see if it materializes. Meanwhile, we are at the 45-minute mark. And now the rules change. Chevrolet has now clinched the manufacturer's title in the GS category.
Davis and Liddell just clinched the Drivers' Championship too. So now that the gloves are off, they can go get them. And as Andrew Davis said, he wants to win in front of the home crowd. So no need to be cautious any further. And we'll see if this changes his pace at all.
Andrew lives in Athens, Georgia. Easy drive from Road Atlanta. Clinch this championship with that man, his co-driver Robin Liddell. It'll be headline news in Athens. We'll take a break. Stay with us. Back at Road Atlanta, final round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Here's what's been going on of late. Luis Rodriguez Jr. got off driver's left on the curbing into the wet grass and just nudged the tire wall at turn 11, but he was able to drive away.
Now past the 45-minute mark, Liam Dwyer, after a brilliant opening stint, now brings the car in and turns it over to Andrew Carbonell to try and chase this Drivers' Championship.
And Andrew Davis brought the number 6 in, but not before congratulating his crew on a great job and a well-deserved championship. There you see a happy pit.
Yeah. Johnny Stevenson celebrates and Andrew is pumped. Now they can try and win this race.
Robin Liddell now in the car. 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 30 seconds remaining in the race. There's your leader in the overall and GS, Jade Buford. And that Mustang G3 350 RC.
As JBU said, just a great drive here by Jade. I know the car's working well, but he has executed and made all of the right moves. Certainly Andrew Davis gave him a bit of a hard time in getting by, but he took it cleanly and was patient and just got a car that's really working well.
He's getting through the traffic very well as well. And I think hats off to everybody out there. Very hard in the wet. You're so almost macro on the way you're looking at the track, just trying to work through your line, trying not to put a foot wrong. And when you've got someone coming up behind, that's actually what you need. Now, in that car, in that truck, you can go wherever you want. Not too good mid-apex, but definitely good when you're in trouble.
Fuel mileage isn't too good.
Fuel mileage not good. 12 stops in a 2.5-hour race. But let's go down to Brian with probably a very relieved and happy Andrew Davis.
Yeah, I would say relieved. He got out of the car. So you had to be in it for 45 minutes to get the championship locked up. How long were you in it? A couple of days? Is that what it felt like?
I thought it was a week and a half. I mean, I swear that was the longest 45 minutes of my life. Every lap after that last yellow, I kept waiting for Mike to come on the radio and tell me that we had cleared the time. And every bit of traffic I encountered, it was just a heart attack, basically.
But you said this is very different. You've won championships before, but you said this is different, and you told me why. Why was this one so difficult? Why was it so difficult to wait for that 45 minutes?
Well, in 2011, when I won the championship, I was the aggressor. We were behind in points, so it was full attack mode. Here, we were trying to hold on to a very large margin. But, you know, it's not that I don't have faith in my Stevenson Motorsports crew, because they're phenomenal, and they're why I'm here and why we've gotten to this point. And our Camaro Z28R was running flawlessly. We've got a great rain setup. It's just Lady Luck. I know how she works in this sport because I've been watching it for so long and then been doing it for so long. I'm just so proud of the team and just so thankful to say I'm the champion of this Continental Series.
Congratulations. He said they've been here before. Yeah, they've ended up second several times, so they were nervous until that 45-minute mark.
Yeah, you play offense as well as defense in motorsports. Robin Liddell trying to take it home, maybe grab the victory.
But they had to dig deep, didn't they, Calvin? I mean, go back 3 or 4 races, the way the balanced performance adjustment performance was, it was really not going in their favor.
Yeah, and certainly the Rumbum team had tremendous momentum, and then that disaster for them at Coda when they had the whole radiator and a DNF, and that's what created this big point spread with 1 round to go. So totally different dynamic to what it could have been, but that's racing. It's a season-long championship, and you've got to be there week in and week out. 4 wins on the year as well, so they didn't, kind of backdoor this one. They went out and earned it.
Plunging downhill to turn 10. Moments ago, there was contact on board the number 15 GT350 RC Scott Maxwell. Contact at turn 10. And he turns that ST car.
LaRue there behind the wheel, and they don't take kindly to that. And I think what's happened is Scott Maxwell has got back on the lead lap. He's got around Jade Buford. The 2 Multimatic cars were a lap apart, and he was trying to set sail and force the issue a little bit there down into turn 10.
As Brian pointed out earlier, Scott Maxwell pitted just as the field was coming to green, which is not allowed under the rules. So he was brought in and held for a minute and went a lap down.
Well, we just heard there was no action taken on that, and I think that's the right call. Yes, Scott was slightly lazy going in there, but that's the nature of driving in the wet. You can't go in so aggressively, and LaRue basically didn't. He could have easily held out wide for half a sec, and so anyway, glad that went without further penalty.
Tell you what, with the 26 car pitting, I don't think it'll be much longer before this 5 car hits pit lane. They should be in the same fuel window. You get so much fuel saving in these wet conditions. You're not full throttle, obviously, as long. You're rolling out of the power early. You're on the power later, so you get better fuel mileage. I would think if they feel that they're confident inside the fuel window to get to the finish by tightening them up now, they want to do it. If you get a full caution, pit lane will be closed. You'll lose the advantage you currently have.
So the GS Drivers' Championship has been decided. 1 more to be decided, and there is the leader in the ST class, Chad McCumbee.
Calvin, you were just talking about the 26 and when they pitted. Checking back in with CJ Wilson and his team, they said within a lap or 2, once the 26 comes to pit road, they will come as well. So they're going to wait for the 26, let them play their cards, then expect to see the 5.
Well, you can see how treacherous it remains out there. And again, heavier rain may be coming while the race goes on. Under 1 hour, 30 minutes remaining. Stick around. We'll be back to Road Atlanta. Welcome back to increasingly damp Road Atlanta. The final round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge with Justin Bell, Calvin Fish, Jamie Howe, and Brian Till. I'm Bob Varsha, and as you can see, the track is even wetter than it was when we started this race. Whoa, the number 26 is off.
Oh, wow.
Andrew Carbonell, who came in second in the Drivers' Championship.
Turn 12.
Oh, he's
treacherous corner, JB. If you drop that left side of the car in the grass, you're going to go for a ride, or maybe he got a bump. Let's see if we can take a look here.
Yeah, he basically
down the hill.
He's on line, nothing.
Watch that, he just touches the
curb.
Basically just made a mistake, turned in just that fraction late. And boy, tell you what, those tires have had some action this weekend in practice and qualifying sessions. And they really saved him hitting the concrete wall, but that was most unfortunate. Look at Liam there looking on. I mean, what a stint he put in, but I don't quite get what happened.
Speedy came under the bridge yet. Let's make sure you never stuck throttle. Oh, everything's normal.
Yeah.
Just put those left side wheels.
Ooh, I felt that through my stomach. Oh.
He came under the bridge at a slightly shallow angle, forcing out wide. And like we said, you can't load the car up anymore. Once you're over there, the only thing you can do is lift off the gas to try and control the radius by reducing the speed. And steering isn't going to help you, and he gets out there wide.
And you called it earlier, Calvin. Normally you can touch those curbs. You don't want to out there. Unsettles the car when it's just about to get fully loaded. But all it did was set him on that roller coaster ride across the grass, through the tires. And those are big stacks of tires. And but thankfully, they just arrest your sort of speed before you hit the main concrete wall.
The irony is we were questioning why the 5 car hadn't pitted by being inside their pit window. If we got a yellow, it would close the pit lane, everyone would bunch back up and they'd lose their advantage.
Right.
But it's their competitor that has now caused this yellow.
Yeah. Let's just make sure that Andrew Carbonell is okay. Oh, there he is, walking away from the car, which appears to be done. And with that, the ST championship is decided in favor of Chad McCumbee and Stephen McAleer.
Physically, he's okay, Bob.
Heartbroken.
Mentally
Yep.
and emotionally, I mean, you know, he's so proud. You just heard of him before. The job that Liam did in literally the worst conditions and tough. You know, unfortunately, he's got 5 months to think about this one before you get to Daytona.
Carbonell is one of the go-to guys for Mazda Racing. So, yeah, he's going to take that very, very personally. I think it was a year ago, Spencer Pompelli had a big accident at that same corner, which led to the tire stacks being put there to try to halt the car before it got all the way to the wall, as you pointed out. It will cost that man, Liam Dwyer, a championship. One more look. We'll take a break under our third full course caution of the day here at Road Atlanta. That was huge. Welcome back to Road Atlanta under our third full course caution. We had 4 in this race last year for 12 laps. We've had nearly that many thus far, and there you see teams taking advantage of the opportunity to pit. Brian.
Jade Buford in the 158 brings that GT350 RC in, and Austin Cindric takes over. Cindric never really with a lot of rain time this weekend, and this is going to be an experience for him as he heads back out, but he has learned well so far this season, Jamie.
Well, Ashley Freiberg now just put the net up for Trent Hinman. It was a very quick driver change. Fuel still going in. I believe they did swap out a couple of these Continental tires as well. Quick pit stop for the number 46. It's having a hard time getting it going, though.
Yeah, and they had a shorter fill there, Jamie, so I think they're going to beat the 158 out and the 9 car as well, because remember, they'd made that pit stop earlier to change the tires and top up with fuel, so that was a big advantage to have when you all come into pit lane together. Here comes the 158.
Side by side with the 6.
Yeah, fighting it out.
Oh, boy.
Interesting to see, guys. The 158 did take tires when they did the driver change. The 6 did not, and if my memory is correct, which that's a question mark for sure, I don't believe the 6 has changed tires from the original Continental Rain tires that they've started on.
I think you're right about that. As you go on board with Robin Liddell in the 6.
Robin has put in some spectacular performances in wet conditions here in this series over the last 3 or 4 years, so expect him to try and get this car back to the front, chase down Trent Hinman.
Jamie is in the Freedom Motorsports pits with, no doubt, a disappointed Liam Dwyer.
Yeah, you called it, Bob. Disappointed is a pretty good word. Liam, you weren't in this Drivers' Championship, but as a team, how heartbreaking is this moment?
It's tremendously heartbreaking, Jamie. It's, you know, for the team itself, but for Andrew himself. You know, he was still very much in the Drivers' Championship, as we know. And for it to go like this, it's truly disheartening. I really feel bad for Andrew. You know, he was running a great stint there, running down leader, going to unlap himself. And unfortunately, stuff like this happens when you're pushing really hard. You know, this is racing. And this will be our only finish really out this year outside the top 10. But I really can't be happier for this team, as disappointing as this is. If you want to make this the exclamation point of the season, it is what it is. But if you look back at the entire season, top 10 finishes all season long. Got 2 podium finishes, a win at Mazda Raceway. The Freedom Motorsports Mazda MX-5 team has been absolutely exceptional all season long. The cars are phenomenally prepared. The cars are always fast. They're always up front. I can't thank Mazda, Continental Tire, and Freedom Motorsports enough for this opportunity. You know, we'll be back next season and see if we can't get that championship.
We look forward to seeing you back. Thank you, guys.
That's a great point that he brought out, Bob, is that he was chasing the 5 car. They've gone a lap down because of their pit stop, which is normal because you lose a lot of time here as a relatively short lap. So they were still in good shape, but he saw that 5 car. He was thinking, I got to unlap myself to try and win this championship, and was pushing really, really hard.
The 5 is in. Brian.
Chad McCumbee will be handing over to Stephen McAleer, but guys, don't give these guys the championship just yet. Still need a top 10 finish to wrap it up in treacherous conditions out on the racetrack. That being said, Stephen McAleer, very, very good in wet conditions. Fuel only here in the Mazda. No new Continental Rain tires going on, and it's busy down here in the ST portion of pit lane.
I mentioned before the break that with the crash by the 26, that the championship was basically locked up for these guys. That's not technically true. Reigning series champ Eric Foss and 5 other drivers came into this race mathematically alive, but they're going to need a lot of help. And basically a top 10 finish for the 5 car will mean it's official. McAleer, no doubt, ready to go. We are still under caution, but we expect the green shortly. When it waves, we'll be back with you. Stay with us from Road Atlanta. Back at Road Atlanta, we'll get you up to speed in anticipation of the green flag. Moments ago, this wild spin resulted in that contact. And so Brad Jaeger found himself with damage to the right rear corner. He is in the pits being serviced as we speak. Some of the work they've done thus far. Watch this. When in doubt, give me the hammer. Is that in the way of the wheel? Nope, we're about to pry it off. And trust me, that's exactly what they did, but they're still trying to clear the exhaust, which was bent in that rearward impact.
This is going to be a shootout, Bob. We have got some great drivers behind the wheel now, and everyone should be good on fuel to the checker.
Rain has let up just a bit, but we are still more Road Atlantis than Atlanta as Trent Hinman leads Lawson Aschenbach, Robin Liddell, Austin Cindric, Kyle Marcelli, and Mark Wilkins under the green flag.
Marcelli looking to the inside of Cindric there, down into turn 1, moves up into the 4th position.
Yeah, it was a nice solid move that was, as the water is definitely running across turn 1 there. Oh, look at him out wide, sliding that little Cayman up the hill there. Down this, you can see there's a lot more standing water even through that yellow flag period we just went through. The drivers, of course, have to seek their way through it on this opening lap and not yet give up a position to the guy behind. So these cars pushing, you can see Trent Hinman definitely using, oh, look at it. Everyone's sliding their way through. You can see under braking. Trent's making the most of a clear windshield. That's what that's his pace advantage right now. And you really, down that back straight, are going to have to find some clear. I reckon they're going to be 3 abreast as they go down the back, trying to find a way past.
Yeah, and you're really the guinea pig. Yes, you've got a clean windshield, but you're touching these puddles for the first time. Someone behind can gauge how you handle it as to what sort of speed they can attack the corner with, as you see Wilkins there in the Gulf livery Camaro looking for a way through.
Young Trent Hinman, as a BMW junior driver, has been traveling the world this year, going to places like Zolder and Nürburgring that a young driver could only dream about. Now here he is on home soil, leading the way, hoping to get a victory to lift the spirits at the Fall Line Motorsports team. They are used to success. They haven't had a whole lot of it this year. His co-driver, Ashley Freiberg, is with Jamie.
And Ashley just said, guys, that she was going to have a heart attack waiting for this checkered flag to fly. Ashley, on the cusp of the first win of the season, you guys have a pair of podiums. What condition is the car in under the rain conditions that we see today?
We actually, when we first went out, we set up the car for dry because we were watching races before this and noticed that the dry line was actually drying up as cars ran over it. So we even went out on stickers at the beginning, but obviously it's wet, so we've just slapped some rain tires on it, and the car is really solid. As you can see, we're running first now, and I'm really nervous right now. I really hope we can hang on to it to the end.
Coming into this season, you were hoping to gain some experience, get up to speed with the rest of the professionals in the field. What grade would you give yourself now at the end of this season if this were a test?
Yeah, it's tough to give myself a grade per se. I guess what I'd really say is that I think I've done a good job in terms of learning and progressing each time out. It's really my first full year in this car, and it's been great to be driving with Trent, who's got a lot of experience. Driving with Fall Line Motorsports, same thing. They've worked on this car for like 7 years now. So to have that type of experience around me, I've been trying to extract as much out of it as possible throughout the year. And it's definitely been an improvement each race, so I'm happy with that.
It's been neat to watch the progression. Thank you. Brian?
They're going to have to fight with a very strong Camaro if they want to get up front. Matt Bell sharing that car with Lawson Aschenbach. Now, big congratulations to the team for the championships that they've won, but you and Lawson still looking for a win on the season. How special would it be to go out here at Road Atlanta and get that win?
Oh, it'd be awesome. You know, we've had just all the bad luck. If either side's had bad luck, it's been aimed at us, which is good because the 6-car guys have been with this team for a long time. They've been trying so hard to get a championship, and it looks like right now they've got it. And, you know, big congratulations to Chevrolet for the manufacturer title, and big congratulations, obviously to Stevenson Motorsport for the team title. So that's huge for them. But, you know, it's tough out there. It's slick. It changes every lap. Our car's not perfect for the rain. It was really good at the Glen. It's not exactly ideal right now, but you know what? Lawson's one of the best guys in the wet. He's one of the best guys in the dry, to be honest. So he'll do a really good job with it. I have no doubt. He's doing his best. The BMW is fast, but I'm pretty sure he's going to give him a good fight by the end.
Stevenson Motorsports looking for another victory, this time with the 9, Bob.
And look for the sweep. Here's the tricky part.
Yeah,
see
look
that
at those
puddle.
Rivers right there. Inman's just try to keep the car straight as you get through there. Look at that, Lawson arching back really sideways. The other guy's looking strong right now is Marcelli.
Yeah, his car looks very planted coming off those corners, but he's also learning a little bit from the slip slide and the guys in front. You mentioned a while back, Cal, I think what's happening right now, even though it looks a little brighter, the cloud cover's lifted a little, the track is staying very constant in its wetness. So, okay, puddles appear, more water appears, but you definitely haven't got a dry line of any note coming through. These cars right now, you can see a little power slide coming off there. It's very challenging, very demanding. And in this series, we've seen all year some amazing last gasp passes. Lap after lap, they'll push each other. Right now, to go past is such a calculated move that you can see Marcelli's really setting him up for the downhill here. But how late do you brake? How late do you brake without going in the side of him?
And
we're
he's getting in there
now.
really deep. Liddell tries to give him enough room, just good, smart driving there. Rob realized if he went to the apex, there would be contact, so turned in, but gave him a path there to get through the corner as well, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Kyle setting him up actually there. He backed off a little so he could come under the bridge so he can get harder through the last corner, and he's got a nice shoot coming onto the straight, but traffic may play a part there.
Slower
Whoa, down the inside. Look how late he put on his brakes. That was fantastically done.
Yeah, perfectly timed there. Just left enough room to gain
Whoa, sliding sideways.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
You don't want to be on the outside there, mate. Whoa.
55 minutes to go.
I'll tell you what, if the racetrack gets wetter or drier, that can change how your car works compared to the other cars out there, Bob. So if you're a little bit stiffer setup, this racetrack starts to dry out, that could come to you. So don't think just because the car's dominant right now is going to stay that way to the checkered flag here today.
I think that puddle down there at the bottom of the S's is only going to get worse as it mixes with the red clay here in North Georgia. Right now, Trent Hinman looking good, but we've got a long way to go in the final event of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge in 2015. Stay with us. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Down the hill comes race leader Trent Hinman in a BMW, and then second place Lawson Aschenbach in the Stevenson Camaro. Lawson is the subject of this edition of Continental Tires For What You Do. And his career thus far, as well as his life, proves that parents can send their kids on their way sometimes just by keeping them from hurting themselves.
I grew up in Maryland, just outside DC, and I have two brothers, one that's about 2 years older than me and one that's about 2 years younger than me. Actually, to this day, don't know how my mom did it, you know, with three boys, you know, running around trying to blow things up and set things on fire and breaking stuff all the time. You know, there's a chemical called acrylic solvent, and it comes in a can, and it was like this square can and had a little spout. I would take the acrylic solvent, which is highly flammable, and I'd, you know, put a little puddle on the top of the driveway, and then my brothers would be behind me with lighters, getting ready to light it. You know, I would run all the way down the hill, this shooting flame would come down, and then just as it would get to me, I would usually stop, and then I would start like just spraying it all over the place, and you know, within like 5 seconds, my mom came running out because she sees like flames and smoke going everywhere, and yeah, it was probably not a smart move. I'm probably lucky to still have my hand today. I have to give her a lot of respect for dealing with us.
And I'm sure her insurance rates just went up.
Yeah, at least we didn't have to listen to him and his brothers doing an a cappella like we have on some of the other ones.
Yeah, Carl Marcelli, who's in this group, was not pretty when we listened to him.
It was not good.
Guys are the worst.
We're so mean.
It's a great little battle here between the four Camaros now as Mark Wilkins has joined the party as well. Him been doing a great job out front. Last time across the stripe, the fastest car in this group was Kyle Marcelli.
Meanwhile, in the ST battle, our champions-elect, if you like, Stephen McAleer is 6th in class. Remember, he's looking for a top 10. And supposedly, he's telling the pits he's having difficulty with the car. Let's listen to a few radio transmissions.
Guys, I'm trying my hardest not to wreck here. This is so tough. We're getting our ass handed to us here.
Oh, the problem's not the car necessarily, but the conditions. Well, let's get more with Brian.
Standing here with Chad McCumbee. We're not ready to give him the championship yet. As Stephen McAleer said, he's going to have to work for it. You've heard him on the radio. He's saying he's got his hands full right now with the car. What can you guys do? What can you tell him to try to help him along?
Well, I think it's probably across the board. I think the conditions have deteriorated quite a bit, especially here in the last few minutes. But he'll keep that mod space Mazda up front. You know, this is his forte. This is what he grew up doing, and he taught me everything to help me just do what we did earlier. So I feel good about it. I mean, I think we're going to have drier spells. I think it may rain harder. You really don't know. So we'll just do the best we can do and concentrate on that only and see where it ends up with.
As far as the tires go, in watching the pit stops, I don't remember tires being changed at all. Have you guys changed tires?
No, we haven't. You know, we haven't seen a lot of wear from the Continental Rains. That they put a great rain tire under us here in the Continental Series, and I don't think that's an issue. I think the conditions just have gotten worse and worse. They were starting to deteriorate when I got out, and I think it's just gotten worse ever since. There's a lot of puddling out there in practice yesterday, really treacherous. So I'm sure that IMSA's monitoring that pretty closely because it got dangerous really quick yesterday.
Yeah, the rain's starting to come down a little bit harder now, and as you stay out on those rain tires, guys, and those sipes get a little rubbed off on the edge, it makes them not grip quite as well. You want a nice, sharp sipe on those rain tires, and if they don't have it right now, that may be one of the reasons Stephen McAleer has his hands full.
Well, moments ago, you saw a problem for grip for Kevin Boehm.
Right in front of McAleer right there as he watches. I think for Stephen McAleer, he's used to going for that race win, and right now he sees that he doesn't have a car that's really developing the grip to take him to the front. He doesn't need a win. He just needs to keep that car up in the top 10 and keep it clean. So he's just got to be patient, be talked to on the radio, and just given the big picture of the championship scenario. And
he just picked up a spot when Boehm went off. So that will help. Here are the championship points as they currently run. 18-point gap for McAleer and McCumbee after the 26 of Andrew Carbonell and Liam Dwyer went out of the race in a big accident. 45 minutes to go. Now here's what Eric Voss would have to do to defend his championship: win with the number 5 12th or worse. Andrew Carbonell's finish has already been written.
And right now Voss is 4 positions behind Stephen McAleer, so there's a lot of work for him to do, but he'll keep digging. He knows this racetrack like the back of his hand, resided here in Atlanta for many years, has worked as a driving instructor at this racetrack, so he knows the track well. Got a good car, but there's a long way to go in this race. I mean, just under 45 minutes to go. That's a long way. A lot of things can happen yet. Track conditions can change. Your car can suddenly come into its window where it's really working.
I mean, I tell you, from the team's point of view, although Chad McCumbee sounded quite calm and confident, when you're in the car like Stephen McAleer is and you're starting to tighten up, you're not enjoying it, the car is horrible. The wet is a state of mind, and whoa, look at that. Yeah, you know, the wet is such a state of mind, Calvin. If you have confidence, you can really drive through it. When the car is not giving you that confidence, you start to tighten up. And, you know, everyone's radio is saying the weather is getting worse out there. We can see it on our camera lenses. I tell you what, I'd rather be in Eric Voss's position right now, who's feeling very flamboyant and confident in the car, than Stephen McAleer, because he's not having a good time in that car.
Sure. He's feeling the pressure of the conditions of the championship scenario. It's one thing if it's just a race. This is a big race. This is the one to clinch the championship. He's got to keep it together.
Everybody chasing that number 5 for the championship wants this race to go to the conclusion so that they have every chance to possibly take that championship away. Welcome back to Road Atlanta, where the rain continues to fall more and more heavily as we get into the final 40 minutes Of the final round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2015, there's the overall race leader, Trent Hinman. Second place, Kyle Marcelli, in a BMW and a Camaro Z28R, respectively. Then Robin Liddell, newly crowned drivers champion, with his co-driver Andrew Davis in the second Stevenson, in the first of the Stevenson Camaros.
And Teller Autosport having a great day here. They're running in second and fourth position. Wilkins has got around. Aschenbach is now putting the pressure on his teammate Robin Liddell for that third position on the road right now. And Marcelli is chasing down Trent Hinman. And I tell you what, Trent's done an awesome job. He's the defending class champion in this series. And he's been over to Europe, as you mentioned, Bob, and I'm sure he's had a lot of wet weather driving time while he's been over there, as you typically see that on a regular basis. So that'll just add to his experience level in these sort of conditions.
A quick shout out there. I think you can see them, the flagman standing just at the entrance to the tunnel there. Everybody here, remember, volunteers make racing go around, and the safety crews, obviously they're part of the traveling squad, but also our camera guys who headed out a few hours ago wearing all sorts of wet weather gear to stand there and bring these pictures to you. So a big thanks to all of them for what they do while we sit here in the dry watching it.
Amen. And all the work they've done all season long.
One other thing to factor in here, when we last had our pit stop, they are right on the outside of the window, being able to get to the finish without needing a splash of fuel. So I wonder who's doing a good job out there and trying to save fuel at the same time. As the conditions worsen, JB, we save fuel, right?
We save fuel, but it's also harder to put your finger on what that calculation is.
Right.
Very easy when you know a lap time, 122.6, and that's their average, and you can calculate that. You can't calculate for the wet. You basically have to run to the light.
Well, as Calvin mentioned, Mantello Autosport having perhaps their best weekend of the year. With more, here's Jamie.
That's right, running second and fourth right now. Anthony, seeing your two cars out there running so well in these conditions, as a team owner, what goes through your mind?
Winning. We were looking for a win this year. We've been off the podium the whole year, and this could possibly be our last race together in IMSA. So we're looking for a win. Kyle's pushing real hard out there, and so is Mark.
When you say something like this could be our potentially last race, why is that? What would change?
We're moving on to different cars. We're not going to follow through with the Camaros next year.
All right, so things to come, guys, but good results hopefully today. Brian?
When you talk about things to come, the weather is what may be getting worse, and more rain may be coming. We were talking about new rain tires versus used. This is a new Continental rain tire, you can tell. And look how deep the sipes and the grooves are and how sharp these edges are on this brand new rain tire. This is going to channel water very well from out from underneath the tire and away. But look at this used tire over here. These sipes not nearly as deep. The edges rounded off. This is not going to channel the water away nearly as well. And what's going to happen, this tire is going to hydroplane a little bit more. And so when these drivers talk about losing grip on these older Continental rain tires, it's because they've used them up and they've started to round these edges, and the grip goes away under these very treacherous conditions.
And this channel's critically important, and they move gallons of water at the most incredible rate.
Good gimbal here in the 75 car. What a performance. His teammate supposedly was on slicks when he was holding down that top two position early in the race, and it's just a testimony to this Audi platform, Justin, what it can do in these sort of conditions. Kyle actually won here last year as well in the ST class, driving for the same team, but with Ryan Eversley in a Honda, so he knows his way to victory lane. He's got a great car underneath him today.
Yeah, looks very solid, obviously making his way past a fellow class member there in ST, but he's, you know, the car looks planted. It is about tires, so I mean, it's a good report there by Brian, because you know, you tend to think that a wet tire can't degrade. The rubber definitely got all that water on the track, not so much cornering loads. But the speed these guys are running through here, and the water is, you know, there's a lot of water out there they have to channel through. So the way you manage your tires in the wet is still an important part of driving.
And you can help those tires gain grip by running off the traditional dry racing line, because on that racing line, the aggregate in the surface is going to be worn smooth, and so it'll be tougher to get a good mechanical grip between the rubber of the tire and the aggregate in the asphalt. So you'll see these drivers going offline by about half a car length or more in order to find the asphalt that's not normally run on, because it is a little bit more jagged and grips those tires a little better than where it's worn smooth.
McAleer continuing to do a good job there, Bob, running up in the top 5, but he's still not a happy camper. Let's listen to some radio communication from him to the team.
Andrews, I'm fairly certain he damaged the alignment on this thing. This thing's pulling all over the place, but I'm having fun here.
After all, what can you do? It's in your hands, bud. 35 minutes to go. The crew can only stand and watch. Oh, one of the Merlot cars has gone around.
Yeah, it's just like when you're trying to get out of your snowy driveway. You've just got to keep the momentum going. That is not... Oh, he's now going forward.
Trying to get back on track.
Climbing the hill, I believe, out of turn 1.
Right. You played golf the other day, and the only sunny day we've seen this week, Calvin. What was the state of the turf there?
The turf wasn't good after I'd finished with it.
Yeah, kind of dug it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to get a tune-up for the charity golf, Austin Hatcher Foundation charity golf tournament on Sunday, but the conditions is really wet. As you know, Bob, we've had several days of rain here in the Atlanta area, and that doesn't allow for the typical rain to be saturated into the runoff areas. It basically is saturated already. It goes to the racetrack, and then in the downhill section like you're seeing here in the S's, that's where we're getting the puddling, the streaming right down there into the break zone in turn 4.
Well, Audi runs on the lead in the ST category. Brian has more.
And Paul Holton down here watching Kyle Gempel out in the lead. But, Paul, you guys kind of rolled the dice a little bit in the beginning. Slicks, how difficult was it in these conditions out there on slicks for your opening stint?
Thankfully, we are an all-wheel drive car in the Audi S3 with a lot of weight. So, honestly, it wasn't that crazy, but that was also, it was raining a little bit lighter. There wasn't any standing water on the track when I was out there. Right now, I think it's become a little harder. It really is indicative of needing wet tires at this point. I don't think we could be doing it on slicks right now.
Yeah, rain tires a good choice, but what a lot of people don't know, this is a brand new car and obviously relatively new to this style of driving. How difficult is it to adapt to endurance racing? How difficult is it to develop a car throughout the season when you know you're a little bit behind going in?
Well, the big difference for me coming into the season was the difference between endurance racing and sprint racing, where I actually have to give a car to someone at the end with brakes and with tires and with fuel left in it. And that was a big adjustment throughout the season. Another big thing was actually developing the car. Coming into the season knowing we were not going to be the quickest, which is really, really, really frustrating for me. So finally we've got the BOP where we want it, kind of. And we're actually pretty quick here. We're quicker in the dry. We're really quick in the wet, thanks to our car. That Wacho and the aero paint on it making it really slippy.
Looks like we've got a car stuck in the gravel, but they're right. Their all-wheel drive is doing well for them today. Jamie?
Well, Greg LeFou's running 3rd right now, which means Eric Zimmerman, you're watching on with a smile on your face. You're from the Atlanta area. What would a podium finish mean to you?
This is just an incredible day. It started out being really difficult going out on slicks, and we weren't sure if we made the right decision or not. And then we changed to rains, and it was just like a whole new sheriff in town. It was a whole new experience. And all of a sudden, it was easy to pick off the laps. I've been to this track multiples more than any other track, so I've got, just so much familiarity with the nuances of it. And to go out at the end of the season on top or, on the podium, I just got chills as I was talking about it.
This team obviously likes to have fun. We'll look for a good result, guys.
Well, there's a big hit.
It's Foss.
Yeah, Eric Foss trying to defend his championship. This will be our 4th full course caution. You also saw the 65 of Brett Mosing, who went off in turn 1, went off again in turn 10. May have a tire going down. This looks like a replay of what happened to Andrew Carbonell.
Yeah, this is more typically what happens there. There you can see the impact once again. He was basically had completed the turn, but just got those outside just on the white line as he's turning in. That's what you normally see. The one with Carbonell earlier was a much more dramatic running off the road.
Well, the crews will attend to Eric Foss's car. You see him climbing out. That's good to see. We'll take a break and return with more Road Atlanta. Back at Road Atlanta, less than 25 minutes to go. This final event of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge for 2015. Under our 4th full course caution of the day, matching our total from last year's race. You see 2 of the Mosing racing cars being towed out of the kitty litter.
It's a big one because Eric still had an outside chance of the championship. Foss's car being put on the hauler.
Let's recap the race thus far. This was the Street Tuner category. Ethan Lowe with a quick pirouette before he even takes the green flag.
Great battle in GS. Andrew Davis, our pole sitter and leader, is taken over by Jake Buford there as they climb and come over the hill and through the final corner.
Problem here for one of the Compass 360 Audis, taking out signage. That was Jim McGuire. He was able to resume. 26 car in the hunt for the ST Championship. Liam Dwyer did a great job on his opening stint. Then he pitted the car to hand over to Andrew Carbonell.
Yeah, I mean, obviously highly touted. Andrew was going to have a strong double stint here to the finish, and didn't go quite as planned.
6 car was in after the 45-minute mark, and that clinched the championship. So Davis is out, gives a hug to his team owner, Johnny Stevenson, and thumbs up. What a day.
And that's what I mean. That was not part of the team strategy. He went off so fast here. Carbonell went off at high speed. He got a little out wide as the downhill, and that was a significant hit and damage, and the team were heartbroken.
That was not the end of the calamity down at turn 12. Meanwhile, see the number 5, Chad McCumbee. Stephen McAleer fell from first in class down as far as 6th. Then the most
fast just gets it a little bit wide, not the same as Carbonell. Just touched the left side tires as he turning in, loses control, and the championship day is over. Our defending ST class champion.
Top of the car says, drive yourself happy. Eric Foss apologized to his team. Their race done. Here's our Continental race recap. Trent Hinman leads, looking for the first victory for the Fall Line BMW team on the year. Street tuner, it's Kyle Gimple in the number 75 Compass 360 Audi. Our 4th caution, 3 lead changes up front. We'll be back shortly. More to come here at Road Atlanta, the final 25 minutes of the season.
Green and green.
Back at Road Atlanta, you see Robin Liddell move out of line from 3rd place. He's going to pick up a position as we go green following our 4th full course caution of the race.
He was ready for that. Now the 2 Mantella cars go side by side down into turn 1. Is Wilkins to the inside, but Marcelli responds and takes the position back.
Trent Hinman there at the front. He is got that clear windshield. He's got clear visual, but I tell you what, he's got a mirror full of spray and action behind him. That was a brave move by Robin Liddell there to take that position.
And I was just thinking, they've got the championship locked up. We know they want to go for the win, but I thought, what do I do here if I'm Robin Liddell? Well, Robin did it. I'm not sure I would have.
Yeah, you put it all on the line. That's a nice position to be in because it doesn't matter at this stage if it goes a bit pear-shaped. So you can see there, Hinman really pushing really hard to try and develop that gap once again. The BMW is really hooked up in these conditions.
Yeah, as you said, he's seeking out the line, pushing it. You really are yes, you've got a clear air, but you've also got, you're the first guy on the scene of each corner after that restart is new for these guys. The conditions changing every single lap here.
Billy Johnson, he wants more. Yeah, he is. Yeah. I'm not sure the car right now has the pace of the front 4, but he's certainly going to give it 100%. Billy Johnson's actually won the final race of the championship year in 2013 at Lime Rock, and last year here with Ian James in a Mustang, and here he puts the pressure on Mark Wilkins down the backstretch.
Look, that's a nice move. Takes a lot of confidence. They are moving very fast down that back straight to emerge from that spray ball. Look at that, Bob, as he comes down in there. Good driving.
Yeah, the other thing you noticed as they were going down that backstretch is how close the spectators can get to that high-speed backstretch.
You heard some radio commentary there very briefly from a spotter saying turn in, turn in. A lot of these guys have a spotter there in the turn 10 area, so with the spray, they can actually know if the line is clear to turn into the corner.
Actually, a relatively new thing in sports cars, only been introduced really thanks to the influence of our partners, you know, and sisters over at NASCAR, really.
Circle track.
Sports cars, we never had it. I mean, 10 years ago, I don't think really only the top teams would have that. Look at him. Tell you what, a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, he's made the move. I think the Camaro's maybe got a little bit more grip, but certainly the Mustang had a bit more power or straightaway speed, at least aero or power-wise down the back stretch.
Just a huge river down there at the bottom of the gulch, where the S's go down and then up. Cars lurching under acceleration, under braking. Wow. Let's go to Brian Till in the pits.
Chad Gilsinger standing there watching Ryan Eversley out in the 93. This combination worked for you guys at Road America. You took the victory there. Right now it's front-wheel drive versus the all-wheel drive Audi in front. What's Ryan got to work with, Chad?
He's got a great car, but of course it's going to be tough. You know, all-wheel drive, always in the rain is what you want. But Ryan knows this track like the back of his hand. I mean, I think he's got more laps here than maybe Pompelli out there has equal. But anyway, he's got a lot of laps here, so I think we have a really good shot. I wasn't happy about the yellow. I mean, it got us closer, but then it got everybody closer to us, and you know, people sometimes aren't thinking out there. So hopefully he can, you know, gain some ground, but it's going to be tough with all-wheel drives.
You say he knows this racetrack, but he also knows the driver in front of him. It was his co-driver here last year when they took the victory. What's that do for a driver when he knows the guy in front of him and he knows maybe where the chink in the armor is?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's good and bad, right? Because you don't want to battle too hard to where, you know, you screw up somebody that you respect and, you know, that you've ran with. But at the same time, like you say, he probably knows Kyle's strengths and weaknesses. So, you know, we'll see. It's going to be tough, but, you know, I think we got a really good shot. We're just really happy that, you know, the car stayed in one piece. I was out my whole session on dries, and, you know, so really we wanted to do it in one stop. And it's working out. This is the kind of weather we were hoping for, so got our fingers crossed.
Ryan Eversley right now playing chess with Kyle Gimple out front. Bob?
He is, and he's a real hired gun. He's one of the best in the business, but I tell you what, it'd be easier if they're in the same cars. But I mean, Kyle Gimple has a different gun this year with that Audi, and it's all going to be really tough to beat him here.
Ryan was 15 seconds, lost about a second and a half there, Bob, so the pace is to the leader right now.
Final minutes of the season coming up. We'll take you to the checkered flag shortly here at Road Atlanta. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Now 11 minutes remaining in the 2015 Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge season. We have seen two great championship battles, as well as the battles for the race wins. There's Trent Hinman, hoping to pick up the first of the year in the fall line BMW. There's one of your GS driving champions this year, Robin Liddell, sharing with Andrew Davis. They'll also win the team and manufacturer's titles for Stevenson Motorsports and Chevrolet, respectively. Kyle Marcelli running in third place for Mentella Autosport. Everybody putting everything out there on the racetrack. We've seen championship contenders fly off the road, trying just that little bit too hard.
We've got last year's champion leading, this year's champion in second, and a future champion in third. So this is a great battle here at the front. And the BMW has really got a great platform for these conditions. It's working well. Trent's really done a stunning job. Great strategy. I mean, they made the pit stop. They had a shorter fill and the rest of the guys to leapfrog around them. But Trent Hinman has just taken off. But still, just under 10 minutes to go. And Liddell is sneaking a little bit closer. He took just over a second the previous lap. Just a couple of tenths on that one out of Hinman's lead. So maybe the conditions are coming to Rob Liddell a little bit.
None of the top 5 cars can actually afford to back off a little, otherwise they're going to get overtaken by the chap behind. And I tell you, Kyle Marcelli is coming pretty strong there as well. I mean, a win for them would be a great way to round off this season. You know, talented young driver, and he can see there's the lead. It's 2.5 seconds up the road, so you're going to push for it. But Billy Johnson, his car, he drives very well in the wet too. So I tell you, one little drift, one little sideways, touch the curb, and you've just lost a position.
Or traffic. I mean, there's still going to be some traffic potentially play a factor here in the last few minutes.
Watching that battle up front, I keep thinking, a few years ago, Trent Hinman was driving what we call school cars, just learning how to drive a race car. Robin Liddell back then was driving these cars. There's a huge experience gap up front. Even though Trent Hinman is the reigning series champ, he co-drove with John Edwards last year, a factory BMW driver. They were split in the championship points because of a drive time issue that has been rectified in the championship. So now we'll see co-champions pretty much from here on out. To Brian.
Down here in the C.J. Wilson camp with C.J. Wilson. Now we've talked to Chad McCumbee, we talked to Stephen McAleer, but for you, C.J., if they can come away with a championship, I know maybe it's not the World Series, but to this team, they've worked like it's the World Series. How special would it be?
Well, it's huge, you know. I mean, a lot of people don't see the conditions and see how bad it really is. These guys are soaking wet, they're sweaty, they smell like gasoline and oil, and that's just today. You know, we go through a lot of stuff to get these cars ready. It's been a lot of hard work over the last couple years to get the development there, where we can get everything from, you know, the ABS and the shocks and everything like that working as well as we can. But it's Andrus's birthday today, so I just want to say happy birthday to Andrus. He's so nervous right now, but I'm excited. This is fun.
This is fun, and he brings the competitive spirit from baseball to this team. And if they can win this championship, guys, the future looks very, very attractive to move up to another category.
And C.J. Wilson has big plans for his team and his own future in motorsports now and beyond the end of his Major League Baseball career.
Oh, but opposite ends of the spectrum here. Andrew Davis had to tread very carefully at the beginning of this race to clinch the GS title. Mackley's got to do the same on the back end of this race. Just bring it home. All of the contenders have had trouble here today, so just keep doing what he's doing. Even though he wanted to win, to go out on a high note, top 10 championship is what he's after.
No gain for Robin Liddell on Trent Hindman on that last lap.
Keep the pressure on though, Bob, because I mean, you're right there. One little set, that bin W, he's having to work it. Trent is having to drive, I mean, as they all are, but you can see the bin W's definitely moving around a lot, especially down these uphill, down the downhill S's you're going to see in a minute. He is the, if you like, the wet weather pioneer to the guy behind, because you've got a great spectator seat sitting in Robin Liddell's spot, watching how he navigates the water and seeing how, you know, you just have such a huge advantage. But watch the BMW now as he comes through here. Big twitch right now as he goes through there. Whoa, as it catches, and it's predictable because it's been doing it every lap for the last 20 laps.
Yeah,
but,
Liddell is closing down now.
He is closing down, and there's probably about 5 laps left in this race, looking at the time and their lap times they're running. So I think for Liddell, he's going to need some help with traffic, I think, because Trent seems to be up to the task. He seems very poised and not making mistakes right now. But when you look for the first win of the year, JB, it doesn't matter how much experience he's now got. It still makes it hard to bring it home.
Say what Trent would like right now is for that Mantel Autosport Camaro and Kyle Marcelli to come forward and get Liddell busy. Meanwhile, in ST, gap's closing up here too.
Gimbel now leads from Matt Palmer, who's had a tremendous run here today, now running in the 2nd spot. And Borchell is up to 3rd, gotten around Ryan Eversley. Rondé putting the pressure on as well.
Yeah, so I mean, Eversley's definitely lost some pace just on these last couple of laps. And look at Nico coming by very hard. He's very aggressive going down through there, but Terry Borchella, he certainly snuck up on those last few laps, didn't he, to take 3rd spot?
Yeah, I spoke to his engineer, Jim Bell, and he said, you know, the car should be good. What's the weather going to do? I said, your guess is as good as mine, mate. Just be ready for anything, and that's the key, is being flexible, having the car that's maybe compromised a little bit, but not too far in one direction or the other, in terms of a dry versus a wet setup.
Figure out where these guys are relative to the GS and overall leaders. How much racing they're going to have to do after the GS checkered flag waves.
That is Colin Thompson, who's had quite the season over in the World Challenge Championship, winning the GT Cup by Momo Championship with many, many wins there, and also had a win out at the Rennsport race last week at Master Raceway Laguna Seca. So he's a man on the move. I think this car's had some problems earlier in the race, but you can see the pace that he's got right now.
That's right. He was defending champion in the Porsche GT3 Spec Series. Visited one weekend for 2 races and won them both. So he is a talent. Four minutes remaining in the 2015 Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge season. And it looks like we're just going to get this in as the weather just gets worse and worse.
Terry Borchella still showing life in the old dog yet. He's driving so well in the rain. He's such a nice guy, and obviously he's done 1,000 million miles around here too, hasn't he?
Every time I see them hit that horse trough at the bottom of the S's, I just think,
reserve on.
Uh-oh, we're down on fuel. There's Ashley Freiberg watching her teammate try to bring it home.
Yeah, basically 2 laps to go, and I think they must know that the reserve will take them through 2 laps, and they don't want it to cough at the wrong time. So rather than running out and having to switch, they'll go early. I believe that's what's happening anyway.
Yes, you definitely don't want it to cough when you're fully extended and loaded up. Cars dynamically loaded up, and in the wet, certainly don't want that. So
especially a turn like 12 or 1.
Probably a good call there.
Perfectly executed race by the 4-line team. Just a great strategy, totally in control of things. Felt good about the race car here.
But I tell you what, Kyle Marcelli there in the 80, he could still take Robin if he really wanted it. You know, he closes up a lot downhill there. The gap again extends as you go down the back straight there. Still good for this team to be on the podium at the end of this race.
Sure. As Anthony Mantella said, you know, we're moving on to other pastures, but it's been a great campaign. They ran very well here last year with the Aston Martin. Actually was contending for a win here in the final few laps, and I think it was Rob Liddell and Mark Wilkins got together down in the turn 10-11 area, and they made the switch to Camaros. Now it's going to be a tough year when you're going up against a team that's, you know, so prepared and with so much experience as the Stevenson group, and obviously you then have the adjustment of performance throughout the course of the year, and you're being adjusted along with that team, so it's a tough road.
Trent Hinman working slower traffic.
Had that in the right spot, otherwise he could have lost a critical half-second or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
That couldn't have been better. Now he's just got, I mean, he's just got to keep his head down. You know, we'll see the gap as he crosses the line right now. Is going to be pretty.
He needs to slow it down a little bit. He may not. Not sure if we saw the white or not, but looking at lap time, he may not hit the clock.
I didn't see a white flag.
Yeah, it's going to be next time by, so we're going to watch this class. Within a few seconds, literally within a handful of seconds, so if he can do a slow final lap, the checker may come out when he's expecting the white, but he obviously can't afford to lift off too much with the pressure from behind.
When Michael Harvey and the boys down in the fall line pits, and girls, I'm sure are white knuckling these last few laps.
About 150 on the clock when he went across the stripe, and they're running laps right around the 144-45 range, so it's going to be tough.
Kyle Marcelli was able to catch up there using that traffic to just pick up that like 3/4 of a second he was behind on the road. And
that's just what Trent wants to see, is the two Camaros fighting it out among themselves.
One thing I'm concerned about is if the four-line team were thinking it was just 2 laps to go when they switched him to reserve, if they have to do that 3rd lap, does he flip back to the other pump? I'm not sure.
I just talked to Michael Harvey, the team manager, guys, and he said fuel is of absolutely no concern right now. As you were talking about, they did flip to reserve just out of precaution so they wouldn't get that bobble, but they said they are not concerned about not making it to the checker.
Well, we're about to find out. Coming down to turn 10.
I think everyone was tight until we got that final caution. Never everyone got enough fuel save under that caution to get them inside the window. I just love watching Rob Liddell drive. Just got so much pace, but he's so aware of his surroundings in terms of controlling different scenarios out on the racetrack, in terms of positioning the car that's attacking out on his flank.
Bring it home, buddy.
And the white flag waves. One more lap.
Yellow on the front straightaway here. Cars off to the right-hand side.
Local yellow.
That's a rough deal for whoever that is. I can't quite make it out.
It's not the Catania Trinkler car, was it? Was that a Honda?
I think it might have been, Bob.
The unmistakable fuchsia Honda?
Yeah, there's the fuchsia. Yeah.
And how about these guys? First season for the Audi in the class. Looks like Compass 360 will take it to its first victory.
Repeat victory, but with a different car. They won it last year with the Honda, so.
Right.
We do tend to see that, don't we? Road Atlanta does bring up repeat winners, whether it's cars, drivers, teams. I mean, we'll see in the big, you know, the big Tudor race how there's a couple of lone gunners there that do well here.
To go. Keep it up.
And it's the same here, as you say, two different cars, but the team obviously know how to operate.
In traffic here for the leaders, but I think Trent Hinman is going to have enough in hand. A nice little margin there, so unless he gets totally bogged down in the final chicane area, should be able to bring it home.
And the ST leaders are pretty much ideally placed. They will not have to do another lap. We talk about it race after race. If the ST leader comes through with the GS leader right behind him, GS gets the checkers. ST has to go all the way around one more lap, but in this case it'll be less than half a lap, I'm guessing. Down the hill comes Trent Hinman, and the drought is over at Fall Line as he and Ashley Freiberg take their first victory of the year in the final event here at Road Atlanta. I think Ashley's happy.
That's pretty cool. Victor Lelou there from BMW Motorsports. A lot of IHG Rewards Club people on hand as well. This is a big day for them.
Congratulations to Ashley and Trent Hinman. Got an incident down in turn 1, but we've also got our ST leader on the back straight. 4 more corners to negotiate en route to a victory. Oh my.
Here in turn 1, I believe, right side outside our booth window.
Yeah, that's Nico Rondet. That's the other car, I believe, the sister car to this one. Wow. See the Porsche Rapid Response vehicle on track.
Congratulations, Kyle. You did it, man. You absolutely did it. You're the man.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
2 in a row.
Woo!
Here at Atlanta.
Congratulations to everybody. Compass 360, Paul Holton and Kyle Gimple bring home the win. And they'll have something to talk about with their teammates in the final lap of that race. Another break coming up, and then the celebrations begin. We'll hear from our winners when we return to Road Atlanta. Stay with us. Back at Road Atlanta, Trent Hinman climbs out of the winning Grand Sport BMW for the Fall Line team. Winning never gets old. While we await our winner interviews, is it too early to start talking about the 2016 season? It begins at Daytona International Speedway in January. More on that in a moment. First, here are our unofficial results in GS.
Great mix-up there. You see BMW getting their first win of the year. 3 Camaros in the top 5. Billy Johnson, a strong run in 4th position.
And Street Tuner.
Well, you can see Paul Gimble, Kyle Gimble, Paul Holton really had a wonderful race. The Audi certainly fared better than its sister car at the end of this one.
And Paul Holton reported to the Compass 360 team that he was okay despite that car winding up akimbo. Let's get down to Jamie and hear from our winner.
As Trent Hinman adjusts the collar, make sure you get that Continental logo right side up there. Trent, your first time bringing the car to the checkered flag on the top step of the podium. What went into play to get the win today?
It was unbelievable, but I think it really came down to the starting stint. Our strategy was a bit off from everybody else, and that was making me a bit nervous in the beginning, but it was really Ashley's stint that got us up to the front, and I was fortunate to be in such a great position to be able to stay out of the spray, stay in the good line, and you know, just it was an absolute pleasure driving this Fall Line car to victory lane. But ultimately, I got to thank Ashley. I got to thank our whole Fall Line Motorsports crew, Trimtex Drywall Products, IHG Rewards Club, Top One Oil. This BMW was unbelievable today, and I think we showed it.
For you and Ashley, congratulations. Brian?
Well, 2 more victors down here. We talked to Paul Holton a little bit earlier, but Kyle Gimple, for you, this Audi came in second race of the year. The best finish for you guys had been 13th in this car. How important was it to take a victory before the season was out for this team?
It was very important. We really needed it for a boost in our morale for the end of the season. Even if we didn't, we've come so far when we started this car. It feels great to be back in victory lane here at Road Atlanta. So we'll go in the off season, do some testing, improve the car some more, and come back fighting at Daytona. Feels really good.
2 years in a row, they win here at Road Atlanta. Congratulations, guys.
And let me correct myself. It's not Paul Holton. He was standing right there. It was Nico Rondet who was in the Audi that wound up on its door. So here are the provisional final points in Grand Sport.
Well, they did all they needed to do in terms of executing this championship. Davis and Liddell on top. Plum Brothers, they had a quiet day for the Run Bum Machine.
To Jamie Howe.
Robin, to finally get a championship for yourself, for this team, what does this mean to you?
It's really huge. I mean, especially for the team, for Stevenson. You know, the support that they've given us over the years has been absolutely fantastic. You know, Johnny and Susan, they're just unwavering in their commitment to us as a team, to, you know, Chevy and Pratt & Miller with the programs that we've had over the years, and it's reaped a lot of success. But now, you know, we really want to you know, now getting this championship for this group is just phenomenal. And, you know, to do it with Andrew, to do it in the Camaro and the Z28, you know, the Continental tires today and the wet conditions were really, really good. We didn't change tires at all. We stayed out there all the way through. And the conditions, I have to say, were marginal. They were really treacherous at times.
but everybody was just trying to hang on and do their best. And obviously disappointed not to get the win today. We pushed hard, but delighted with the overall result.
Congratulations, guys. Brian?
From one Scotsman to another, we talked to Chad McCumbee a little bit earlier. Stephen McAleer, how special is this championship, not only to you, this entire organization?
Oh, you know, it's amazing. This is our 3rd year running here. You know, we're super excited for CJ Wilson Racing. You know, that was one of the toughest races I've ever had, just to keep the car in a straight line. We had some sort of brake problem going on at the end. But, you know, we're super psyched for ModSpace and Mazda. And, you know, I can't thank Chad enough. He's done an amazing job this year. Takes 2 drivers to win a championship. And, you know, we're really, really excited about this. We're going to party tonight. I want to thank the CJ Wilson crew, Continental Tires, and hello to everyone back home. Thank you very much.
It takes 2 drivers, but it takes an entire team, and this team won this championship this year, guys.
That they did. Now here's a look at the provisional points in Street Tuner.
Yeah, well, certainly they got the job done, and everyone had a problematic race. Carbonell, we saw the crash there. The 17 car was never really on the pace or in the picture today, and Eric Foss, he had a big moment too. Dan then turned 12, so it really cost these guys the opportunity to catch them up, but a great result for the championship.
Here's a look at the 2016 schedule, and it all begins on the final week of January at Daytona International Speedway. Daytona Rising. Wait till you see what $400 million has done to the old track. Then Sebring, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, all the spectacular tracks across North America and Canada where the series races. We want to thank you for joining us today and this entire season of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. It's been great fun. This is certainly a fitting conclusion. For Calvin Fish, Justin Bell, Jamie Howe, and Brian Till, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll see you from Daytona in January. Until then, so long from Road Atlanta.